Welcome back to Lemon and Healing Podcast.
Where laughter meets inner peace.
We're your host, Shaka.
And I'm Kiana.
And we just want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of your favorite podcast, Alignment and Healing. We want to thank everyone that has supported us. Thank you for all your likes, comment, and everyone that subscribed. And if you have not subscribed yet, ensure you hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us to have your support. And ensure you like this video, because if you like it, we get it out there and more people can watch, and we really appreciate that. Now, today we have an amazing topic, guys. Kiana, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're going to do another episode where we're watching the video and we're reviewing it, because I guess the last time we did that, a lot of people had positive reviews. They enjoyed that format. So we're bringing it again because this is an interesting video, right? Yeah. With this couple and talking about the man's child. And we're going to kind of go into who's right, who's wrong, what's our point of view. You know, we're being a little bit nosy or whatever, but they put their business on the internet, so it's whatever. So we're going to watch the video. We're going to include it in below so you can see it as well, and give us your opinions and feedback as to who is right in the situation and what you would do if you were them. So let's take a look at the video.
But what I'm saying is, why are you paying her rent and her?
Because she lost her job and she's behind on the rent, and she stays with and he has my son, and I'm gonna make sure he's straight. I'm not gonna have my son out on the street.
I'm not saying he's gonna be on the street. If she knew how to take care of y'all's kid, then he wouldn't be on the street.
Yeah, but it takes two people to take care of a kid.
I realize that, but this is like cutting into us. And I'm really not feeling this.
You're not feeling me taking care of my son, basically.
No, you're taking care of your son, but why don't you bring your son to your house so she could pay her own rent?
Because she's the one that has custody of him, and she's the one that's been taking care of him all this time.
Well, then now y'all need to find a way to split custody or something, because it's cutting into us, and I don't like it.
When it cut into us more, if he was actually staying with me, exactly.
This is interesting. We're gonna dive right in. So, a few things that stuck out to me, right away. Because one, it seems like, they're boyfriend girlfriend, so they're in a relationship. But I initially thought they were living together, because she mentioned, why don't you bring the child to your house? So is she not living with him? So what does she mean by it's cutting into us?
Bring to your house as in like our house. I don't think necessarily means that.
Well, she said your house. Yeah.
Yeah, but does it mean that if she said your house, it mean that she's not living there?
I would assume, because she said your instead of our.
But what about if she living there but he owns the house?
That's a fair point, and that's where I'm confused, because she's saying in one breath, maybe I'm reading too deeply into it, because she's saying your house, and then it went to cutting into us. So is it cutting into us?
Yeah, but then he said it would not cut into us even more.
So the living situation is a little bit iffy. So maybe they're living together. Maybe they.
Because she. I mean, why would she want he pay? I mean, her rent would be up to pay too. I mean, right? If you're like, okay, well, since you want to pay rent, come on,
right? So looking at that right off the bat, I'm thinking, okay, we always say this on the podcast, we are children first kind of people. Like, okay. I'm concerned about the child and the child being taken care of. And the fact that, the dad is willing to support the mother during a financial trying time for her, so that their child can have a place to stay. I think kudos to the dad for doing that. So for me personally,
for paying her rent.
Yes, because his child was there. Like he
Okay.
said, that's where his son lives, and his
Okay.
mom, his baby mother lost her job, and he's like, okay, his son lived there, so why not pitch in? And that's where I'm talking about when it comes to support. Like we mentioned in the previous episode when we had the Who Should File episode, and I talk
Yes.
about 100% support. That's what I'm talking about because you guys made a child together, and where one of you may lack, the other one should be able to step up. It shouldn't always be 50
I
50
agree.
a line in the
But now we
sand.
now we rent.
When the child lives there, yes.
Okay.
So let me ask you, what would you do if you were the wife, girlfriend, whatever in this situation?
No, I mean, I agree with the girl, honestly, because first thing that would catch me off guard, because I'm like saying, okay, so you paying she whole rent? You know what's rent? This men depends on where they live, right? Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where they live, but let me say they live in the average rent is like $1,500. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
$1,500. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So if they live together, that means that she got to be doing more because you paying a whole other person rent. First thing, consult with me. You understand? You
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that. You don't go and taking out money and paying rent, right? Second
Mm-hmm.
thing, I agree with her. Bring him to live. And he was like, well, he was living there all the time. Well, she in a situation
Mm-hmm.
whereby no, he can live there. You understand? Now she
Right.
in a situation, right? So I would say indeed bring him there. But now
Mm-hmm.
she's saying, now he's saying, oh no, would that cut into us more? Once again, how much is rent? Because if a child come and live this, you already living, you already paying your
Mm-hmm.
rent, you already paying for light, you already paying for internet. All you got to do is probably get like a little extra food, maybe a little more gas because you got to take him to school,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Maybe a little more extra, but a whole rent. I'm sorry,
But
absolutely not. I don't agree with that.
when
I think he should come and live with them, like what
mm-hmm.
she was suggesting. That's my
But
opinion.
to me, when he mentioned cut into them, I was also thinking of the emotional labor of taking care of the child. To be honest, it don't seem like he wants the child to come and stay there because it's more emotionally taxing. I feel like for him, it was
Well, it's
easier
bad. He being a
by
bad father
to
then.
provide for the child financially. And that's what we talked about in a previous episode about men, you're more
Yes.
than financial, for children. Like you need to be there emotionally as well. I ain't saying nay. But to me, it seems like he would rather, this is easier for him, to provide the financial support during a period of time. Who knows? The baby mother probably looking for a new job. Maybe it's just a one-time
I
thing
agree.
for the month, instead of uprooting that child from their home, where they're used to, school, you don't know, how far the commute is to go to school and all those things.
Yeah.
Maybe logistically, it makes more sense for him to just help her pay the rent rather than just be like, oh, let's come over here for however long.
No, okay, so I hear what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
how long we this gonna continue or whatever. Like that's my issue because I'm like if she's having a hard time, if she's having a hard time with financial situation or whatever, she's having
Mm-hmm.
a hard time finding a job, right? Yes, I do think it's a one-time situation because he did say she always takes care of him, she always does it, right? He says that, so it seems like she's got somebody, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However, you as a dad is more than stepping up with the fact that more than just doing financial stuff as you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
You taking him there, if you want to really support, you should probably take your son so she can have time to go and look for jobs. You understand? So she can
Mm-hmm.
have time to do the things that she needs to do. I think that is really stepping up than paying the rent because my thing is this: the woman that he's with won't have concern unless it is a concern. If he was
Mm-hmm.
balling, you understand? If he was balling, because she said it's cutting into us. That
Mm-hmm.
means that somebody got to find something extra to put it, and probably somebody it's her.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So I don't agree. But you saying that as a husband, you would have definitely given the rent, is what you're saying.
Yeah, honestly, I would. And what I don't agree with that he probably didn't do was talk to his partner in the situation about, what he's planning to do, because it does require conversation. And that's something he should have, been able to be like, hey,
Yes.
so and so is out of a job, she got laid off, because we know the current job market is absolute garbage. So
Exactly.
these are a lot of people's reality right now. And he should have
Exactly.
been able to have that conversation. However, if he has the money too, and you're talking about, yes, the mom is, she should, go look out for, look for another job and stuff like that. But again, if he has the resources to help, why not help?
Does he have the
Because,
resources?
but that's the thing. Some women, and I'm not saying all women are like this, but some women do not like when a man help kind of extend to benefit the baby mother as well. So in this case, paying rent, even though he's saying that's for his child because the child lived there, she's looking at it
Yes.
as you're paying her rent. And it's semantics. Yes, whatever. They all live there. So pay rent for one, you pay rent for all. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, some women don't like that. They're like right off the bat, they feel kind of way. Because first of all, you and this woman have a connection. You already have a child. Y'all have a history. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, women don't like that and they feel a kind of way. So that's why for me, when she says cutting in, I am viewing it as more than just financial. I feel like it's also an emotional thing as well coming into play that she may
Okay.
feel a little bit of insecurity about. And,
Yeah, I think
again, yeah.
I think that what you're saying is fair, right? I'm not negating that standpoint at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that is fair because some women don't even want to text the woman and all these different things, and he doing this showing additional care that she probably
Mm-hmm.
not fond of. But for me, I think to me, like, okay, she talked specifically, she didn't really elaborate. Well, why you paying her rent? She ain't got no man. There's the things that I would have said because you really got nobody else but you rent. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I would have been like, what pen? Like nobody else you can get for effort you rent. This is the thing, but she didn't say that. She said
Mm-hmm.
if it's cutting into us. Cutting into us means financially. That means you don't have it. That means you don't have it. It's rent. I think you to me, even if it say you paying half the rent. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying even say you're paying half the rent. If it was half the rent, I would have been like, okay, maybe that might be more manageable, maybe that might be more doable. You understand? But for me, like, you need to like figure out if it's like it's emergency or if it's like a pattern or whatever. I think to me that is, another
But
concern.
it
Because
seems
sometimes
like that's the first time he did it.
yes, it does seem like this the
Mm-hmm.
first time, but you're talking about emotionally. Sometimes it could be more than that. Sometimes she referencing some other things
Possible.
emotionally too. But for my
Mm-hmm.
thing is this: how long is it? Where's the line? So what happened
Mm-hmm.
if now? What happened if now she didn't tell you that she didn't get paying the rent all this time and now she's homeless? What was where else he must bring she for live there? Where the line is me
And
question?
that's
Where is the
why,
line? How
that's
long does he
why,
pay the rent? Because you talk about the job market, it is trash.
yeah.
So don't start something you
So,
can't finish.
but it's possible that she has unemployment, that she's just waiting to kick in. Again, we don't know the specifics. My
Okay, but
point
how
is,
long you should be paying the rent?
and again, that's a conversation for both of them, taking into account their resources and all that stuff. Because again, she's saying cutting in. Cutting in could be $5 cutting in, $100 cutting in. Again,
But she
semantics.
said rent.
Yeah, but what my point is,
So
her
whatever
saying
the
cutting
rent is
in,
cutting in.
right? It could be $5 cutting in, 100. We don't
Even
know.
if it's
We
five
don't know
dollars,
this.
that's not my
We don't
responsibility.
know, but it's his responsibility to provide for his child.
Bringing exactly to give him shelter. Let him live up under my shelter.
But again, we don't know the specifics of in terms of logistics and how that works. So we're assuming that they live right next to each other, that it's possible for him to just do that. We don't know his work schedule, whether or not he can afford to do that. Maybe bring the child over means that that same woman would need to help take care of the child, and maybe she don't even want an extra burden, even though she doesn't want him to provide financially, but maybe he's sparing her
But
because
she's the one
knowing
that suggested it.
suggesting it and the reality of it is two different things. People say a
I
lot of
know,
things
but
in
but
the
let me
height of
but
the
let me go
moment.
on what was said. Let me go on what was said.
Mm-hmm.
She suggested it. She did suggested it. He's the one that shut it down. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're with a woman that says, okay, I want you to pay the rent, plus you don't want the child to come, now that's a different story. She
Mm-hmm.
did not say that, right? She's the one that suggested it. So let me say, based on what she said, It seemed like she's okay with that. And I think if he had suggested it and she says no, I think there'd been a problem, because you're right. The point is having a child in a home that is stable. And I
Stable.
think good. Him being there is better than
Yeah.
he paying.
But again, I think the baby mother in this case, deserve empathy, because it's not like, from what we're hearing, we don't know whether or not, this is a pattern, right? It seems
It just
like,
seems so.
going off of face value, this was a one-time occurrence. And she lost her job. That in itself is devastating, not being able to provide and all that stuff. Then on top of that, you're telling, oh, go and live with your dad. Maybe she didn't even ask him for the money. Maybe he's the one offered to give it. Like, hey,
which is a problem in itself.
I don't think it is a problem. I honestly
It's
don't.
a problem in itself. I understand your point of
You
view, but
have a
there's a problem.
child with someone.
I
You're
bring
supposed
him
to able
to
to
stay
step
with
up.
me.
I don't agree that he has to move out of his house. If it was an extended period of time, I can see where
what about if
that's
she's homeless
possible.
now? Okay, what about if she's homeless?
If she's homeless, that's different. Take the child with you,
But
but for
technically, she
1
is
month,
homeless because she can't afford rent.
it takes time to be homeless. You don't get kicked out of your apartment after 1 month.
I
Evictions,
know.
it takes time. But my point
Exactly,
is,
but we don't know how
1
far
month
she
of
is.
rent doesn't negate all of this. My problem is, and I think what should be the emphasis, is that he probably did not communicate with his partner about what's happening, which I agree he should have done. But to provide and help out his baby mother in a time of need, I don't see a problem in that.
Why can't he help her find a job instead of paying the rent?
How is he helping her find a job? Please, pray tell. How?
I mean, maybe he knows somebody. Maybe.
But if he does, then yes, he should help.
I know, but to help could look different. That's my point.
But
help
there is an immediate need. Shelter, according to Maslow hierarchy of need, shelter, food, immediate need.
Shelter is the most important need.
He helped with providing immediate need for his child. And it just so happened to look like helping paying rent.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, no. But I in agreement that he should have communicated with his partner, but I don't see anything wrong with him providing assistance with the rent. So you mentioned that, the girlfriend suggests that the child should stay there by then with the baby mama and all that stuff, right? Why you were the baby mother? Would you have sent your child to live?
Let's say because my child is priority. But my child is priority, and I not only being jobless and can't afford to pay rent is not only taxing financially but mentally as well. And I might take it out on him because I'm stressing or whatever, or I might need to be doing other things. Like if I know that my child is well taken care of, being well fed, well, sheltered, ain't got worry. Because the truth is, when mommy worries, child worries, right? And if I could take him out of that situation, because at the end of the day, and obviously, I'm just saying that realistically, I won't want my child to go somewhere else, especially if he lives with me. But me saying that, because what me saying, oh, I want to go there because he's living with me.
No, that's not what she's saying.
No, yeah. I know, but I'm saying, I know she didn't say nothing, but I'm saying, like, if I'm saying that solely because of myself and how I feel, and because the semantics that he live with me, so he got to be with me, that is me being selfish. You understand? That is me being selfish. Because sometimes I might need to maybe take on a little side job. Maybe I need to go and work Uber, Lyft, or something, and I got work late hours. You never know what I have to do. So and it's stressful, and it's a stressful situation. And I might be, and a lot of times you talking about financial, mentally, I might need that space mentally for I'm taking it out on the child or something, or I'm not even taking it out on the child, but he's seeing mommy being worried. It's not helpful. So at the end of the day, I would think about all of that and put it aside and be like, okay, you know what? It's okay if he goes, if that is the suggestion. I feel like that is okay. Then asking him to pay, I mean, she probably didn't ask you if you want to pay my whole rent. Honest to God, I would kind of feel uncomfortable though, because like, we're not together. And plus, I need to figure it out. I
Mm-hmm.
understand you want to help out or
You're
whatever.
not
but
together, but you have a child together that shares the
yes,
home
and
that you
take
live
care
in.
of the child. And take care of the child.
So
And
that
that's what
money
I
is
need
not
to.
for you; it's for the child. Keep that on
I
top
know, but
of
I
the
know, but I
mind.
live there too. I live there too.
Yes, but your
Yeah,
child
but
does
and
as
not
well.
only that, that's not the arrangement that we initially had. You understand? Next thing you
Things
know,
change when
and
circumstances change,
you know them men. Next thing you know, you want to come there, take penny
and you
rent.
say no. Not
Okay,
because he
girl.
provides, not because he provides in the time of
You
need
know,
me.
especially Caribbean men. You know
That
when the
don't
money
mean he could
get
come
dead.
there.
I agree. I agree. But you know, your money dead dead. He want dead dead too. You understand? So
I
there is
ain't,
a
I
way
ain't, I ain't
sneaking
arguing
back.
with that, but that don't mean you permit him to. He could put money there or not. His
I
child
agree.
lives there, and if
Okay.
the child has a need, either parent should fulfill. So you're telling
Okay.
me that, you know, 1 month you just lost your job, you packing your son traps. Oh, go by your daddy. You don't even know. Maybe he only goes to his
No, but
father on
I'm
the
saying
weekend.
no. I agree. I'm not 1 month. If because I would have savings. Another thing, she ain't got no savings. She ain't got no new man herself. She ain't got no family. She ain't got no nothing. Right away, he's the one that gotta do everything. I'm sorry. You understand? I don't think one
But he's
month
not doing everything. He's
warrant.
only paying rent. You don't know.
Rent
She
is a
got
big
car
thing.
notes. She probably
Rent is
got
a
other
big thing.
bills. Who knows
Yeah,
if she have other
yeah.
kids? I don't know. But we're
All of that
rent.
too. She got other
Mm-hmm.
kids. So you paying. So let me say you paying the rent for the other man kids too. Girl, husband. I'm sorry. Come be my
At
man.
the end of the day,
Come be my man.
the man in question had no problem in providing the rent money for his
And why
child
is that? And
because
why is that? We can't try to slide it back up in there. That's why. More
because he
business.
because he realized that, you know, the need to provide goes beyond 50-50, goes beyond just, oh, let me bring a little this, let me bring a little that. He realized the importance
That's
of
what we agreed
stepping
upon.
in.
Keep it so. When
But
I
things
sign up to be
change.
with you, when I sign up to be with you, me sign up, you say you're paying 50-50, helping out, whatever. Me sign up for be like, oh, she get rent, you paying your rent. Me sign up for the, you
The-
got air me
and
mouth
that's
if I was
fair.
he woman.
And that
I'm
is
sorry.
fair. And that is fair for the woman. If she's uncomfortable with the arrangement and she's expressed that to him and he doesn't change, that is her due right to leave the relationship. But if he's saying that he's okay with providing for his child over
So I mean, if I,
pay
so
rent,
we got kids, we got kids.
I don't think they have kids. I don't feel like they have kids in
Okay,
the
but let
video.
me say that they have kids.
Again, my philosophy is that him paying the rent for his child where he lives is not a
Okay.
problem. The problem is the breakdown in communication, not having that conversation with her. So to me, that's where he went wrong. He should
Okay,
have
so
communicated that.
I agree. So let's say the roles were reversed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the roles were reversed. Her son, or daughter, whatever, lives with her ex, and
Mm-hmm.
he out of a job. No, should she take her money, and pay her ex's rent?
She's paying the rent again because of her child. The child lives
So
there.
you rather pay the rent? It's you. You rather pay the rent
The child,
than bring your
okay.
child live with you.
The problem is, first of all, where I am, my child lives. So if it's me, there's no custody elsewhere. But the point in this situation, if we're going according to what's happening in the video, the other person has full custody. So let's say in her situation, the
Yes.
same. She pays the rent because the child, you know, the baby daddy lost his job, and she wants to help out by paying the rent where her child lives. I do not see a problem with that. I do not see a problem with that. Again,
If you
she need
want
to
me to have a
communicate.
little extra food,
She needs to
little
communicate
extra
that.
little extra food or something, you gonna get a little extra food. You want me to help you with a resume, or something
Nah.
like that. I
When
feel it's
children,
enough.
when children are involved, I feel like there's no limits in terms of support. And
Exactly. That's
both
why I think living
co-parenting,
with me can be
both
better than paying rent. Living with me can be better than
paying
paying rent.
rent, again, you don't even know if it's once, maybe twice. My point is co-parenting or whatever, when you're truly supporting each other, support should look like showing up for that child 100%. And if the best thing in that situation is to keep the child in the home with the primary parent, and you help support additionally for that child, and by default, it seems that everybody else's benefits, so what? The end of the day, it's a child that is benefiting, and that should be your focus. It shouldn't be like, oh, you're paying rent for the ex, yada, 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 yada. The only thing I believe that either person could have done wrong is the lack of communication.
Yes,
and
the lack of communication was.
And he could have
was
paid
not
her
good.
rent and said, but he was still transparent with her. He still told her, like, hey,
So if okay,
yada,
so
yada,
if
yada.
he's paying her rent, but you can't, but you now gotta pay the rent. So you weren't paying
Again,
rent before.
Again,
You were okay with that?
Again, that should have been a conversation. If the other person's finances got to be involved,
I
have to
understand, but
communicate that with the person
go. But he
ahead of
communicated
time.
that I'm paying rent.
He communicated that after the fact. He should have
I
said
know,
that
but
before.
good. But okay, but he already did it. Now we coming to you. So you okay with taking over the rent? Okay, you got to take over. We rent.
You
now,
have to
'cause
take
I
over
get
rent.
it.
You have no other choice. But is she
Oh, so you go with that?
justified? Is she justified to be angry? Yes, she is. So the alternative would be what? Not pay the rent at where you live? She
The
has a right.
alternative is that he needs to find an
Has a
alternative.
right to be angry. I'm not saying, nay with that. She has a right to be upset because of his lack of communication. But at the end of the day, in terms of that, he should have communicated that prior to.
I agree.
He should have communicated that. But
I
what
agree.
he did is not wrong. And that's the only thing I would justify in terms of the support he's providing for his child in this particular situation.
Yeah, support looks different to me. Support looks different to me. I'm sorry. Like, it's not just financially.
And I agree, it's not financially, but
It's not
from
just
what
financially.
he's saying,
But you can't.
it seems
You
like
can't cut it. You
financially.
can't cut it to me.
But from what he's saying, I feel like financially it's easier for him to provide than emotionally, because it seems like he don't want to have the child to be with him. And that's also a problem. Because like you said, when she had suggested, how about, the child live here, he should have been like, you know what? That's a good idea. You're on board. Let's bring the child over. He was like,
well, I know,
that will cut into us even more.
Even more. But I feel like you needed to talk that part out. But my thing is, where is the line? You saying, oh, it's 1 month, 2 months. Where is the line? Where is the line? You talk about this job market. The average person is taking 2 years to find a job. Come on, you trying to tell me 2 years of rent he gonna pay? Where is the line? That's my question.
Again,
where is the line?
The line is as comfortable as him and his partner, whatever it is. Because again,
where's the line for you? Where's the line for you?
If he's supporting the child and all that stuff, it has to be what he's willing and capable of doing. So if he's not capable,
it's not like he's capable
because he's taking into her money. I don't know. I feel like he's capable to take care of his child, but if the problem is, how he communicates with his current partner, and that's a problem, she has to know what's the line that, she's willing to accept and skedaddle out of there. Because if this is too much, then that's what I'm saying. She has a right to feel how she feels. I'm not negating that. She has a right to feel how she feels. And if he does it, and then next month, like you said, the job market is terrible right now, he has to pay the rent again. He's like, hey, I'm going to pay the rent again because this was happening. He has the right to be like, you know what? This is too much for me. I'm out. So whatever
and then we gotta pay rent too. Like, make it make sense.
Pay who rent to?
No, we don't know if they have kids or whatever. We don't know if they have kids or whatever. But I'm saying, and not only that, the reason why she's talking about cutting into us, you think that he's not relying on her too financially? She probably paying the light. She probably paying. So now we gotta support 2 whole household by himself. Like, I feel like that don't make sense either.
It don't make sense. But again, he got to do what he is capable of doing. So whatever that is, and we don't know what that is. That's assumption. And, he has to do what he's capable of doing. If he's cutting into her, again, she has the right to do what she wants to do. If he's cutting into her money, girl, and you don't want to pay, you don't want to do this, you have all right to leave and this relationship, because you're like, I'm not taking care of you to take care of your baby mama or whatever. But what I'm saying with him, as a man, as a father, he's still obligated to provide for his child, just as
I
the mother is.
agree.
And she needs
I
to do
agree.
her part in, getting gainfully reemployed. Whether
Yes.
in the meantime she looked for assistance from wherever,
Yeah.
places she can get help from, government assistance, whatever it is, unemployment benefits, whatever it is, she got to go and seek those
Exactly.
out herself.
Exactly, which I think
But
is a problem in itself, because that's why I don't believe in giving the rent or whatever, because it's a fine line. For example, now we paying she rent, but she hair done every day and she nails done. I got problem with though. Or
or
she ain't want to take any kind of job, but we owe
or
hey making sacrifices. And so that's
or
why those things, and sometimes that's not even the case. Sometimes somebody help us out. Sometimes she may be very
exactly.
educated and I want all of that, but you don't know. You don't know. That's
You
why
don't
we
know. Or
keep things above board. If we agree to A, it's A. If we agree to B, it's B. I'm sorry you lose your
or
job.
the
In this
alternative is
mhm.
she took care of their child all the time. He
Yes.
sporadically provided. She never pressed him for financial support. She never put him on child support, even though she
Okay,
probably
probably.
could have, because of sporadic support. She lost her income. She takes care of this child all this time for how many years? She lost, and him. Why would he feel the need to provide if he doesn't feel like he needs to step up? If a man is doing what he's used to doing, and
Okay, you want to live back right there. You try there. Not me, girl.
he's doing what he needs to do for the child, and he's again, she just lost her job, and he's willing to step up and help. Why would he not want to help his child
I
in
think
that
helping the
moment?
child. What does help look like? Why does it have to be paying this woman's rent? I am
Because the
sorry.
child lives
It
there.
can't be
That's why.
that. And he have a home. And he has a home. It can't be that. I said, I'm sorry. I would question. My questioning would have been like, why? Okay, you said, but it would have been harder. But let me make the sacrifice. Let me make the sacrifice to do whatever it needs
He don't
to
want the child by him though. That's
let little Junior, and that's a problem
on
in
the
itself,
current.
because he want to keep going and see baby mama. Okay, boo. Okay.
I understand your point of view, but it don't always have to be that. That's
It
all I
doesn't.
would
It
say.
don't have to be that, but a lot of time it doesn't be that. A
It don't
lot
always
of
have
time
to
it
be
doesn't be
that.
that. It don't have to be that. You're right. It don't have to be that, but 80%.
Yeah, and that could be one of the 20% of times it's not that. But
No,
again,
I agree.
her problem, that lady's problem, who made a video, her problem is not even him paying the rent. Her problem is he didn't see the need to speak to her prior to doing it.
Well, no, she said it cutting into them. I think this is the thing. Because she didn't say, "Oh, we didn't have communication." You saying that this is a core problem. The core problem is
Right.
communication.
Because
Obviously, there's a big factor of it. There's a big factor of it. But and I give her credit. I give her credit because she didn't think, oh, y'all together, y'all this, whatever. She talked straight about cutting into us, cutting into us, cutting into us. And I think there's a very concern, because money is one of the prime reasons for any kind of dispute, divorce, and all these different things. So I don't think this man have it. I get what you're saying, but you think he get it or whatever. It's rent, boo. It's not like if it's food, it's rent. Rent. I don't know where they live, but rent is average like $1,500, $1,300. I don't know how he get a spare $1,300 in the pocket in this time. I'm sorry, I don't see it happening. Not even half the rent. If it is like, well, I just pay in half, and I'd be like, okay, different. You entire rent. So you get to
I think
why
for
not?
one time, I don't see again. You don't know, as much as she's saying cutting in, you don't know how much is cutting in by. Maybe you could pick up an overnight shift, an overtime shift to make up for that. Again, if he's going to be wanting to pay, he needs to be able to be capable of doing that. So I don't give the girl wrong if she's saying that, if he's cutting into their situation, their money and whatever, that would be a problem, right? But him on his own, if to me, if you're going to do something for someone, in this case, your child, you have to be capable of doing it on your own strength.
And that right there is a question right there, because I don't think it's on his own strength. I think that he knows that wife, boo boo, his woman, wifey, whatever you want to call her, got him. You understand? Because he could only do this because they have this.
And that's the problem she should have with him. Again, I don't see the problem with him paying the rent, but he has to be capable
Not
of
whole
doing
rent.
it.
Not whole rent. See, I can't imagine somebody coming up, I'm gonna pay the whole. I don't care who you be. Your whole rent? Absolutely not.
For a one-time situation, I don't see what's the big
I know,
deal.
but you can't. We know it. Okay, you saying one time situation, but it's nah. $1,500. I'm sorry, I'm taking this $1,500. See, if it's 2,000, no, no. I am sorry.
I don't see
No
what's a big
way.
deal for one and
No, absolutely
for an
not.
emergency. When there's an
Yeah,
emergency,
but you
you have to
saying
be able
one
to
month
step
like you
up.
know it's gonna be 1 month, especially
I
in
don't
this
know.
job
I'm just
market.
saying because we don't know.
But
It seems
I
like she
ask you,
just
where's the
lost her
line? Where's the
job.
line? It's 8 months the line. It's 1 month the line.
The
Because if you
line
say
should be
1 month, it's
what you
one
can
month the line.
afford. The line should be what you can afford. You can't give what you can't afford. So if he could only do 1 month, then month two, he can't pay the rent. Because again, it's unfair for the other, his woman to have to foot the
Okay.
cost. He has to be capable. If he can capably help pay the rent while taking care of where he's at, I don't see nothing wrong with that. But if she said that he's cutting in, what did that cut in look like? He can't pay the rent. He can only pay half of their rent. Yada yada yada. I don't give the woman's wrong. That's a problem. But that's where if he in himself want to help provide for his child while keeping him at home, and he wants to do that because he wants to do it, then he got to figure out a way to do that.
Okay. Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. I'm sorry. You're not coming with a whole rent situation. And where's the line? If she home, like, because I be watching that and I want to know going on. I watching wow long, is she actively looking for a job? Is she is she taking a little minute? Next thing you know, we pay she when she on vacation. Girl, look, you let me agree.
Or she could not be on vacation, but yeah.
Agree to disagree because absolutely
So
no.
for you, financially paying part of the rent would be better than paying the whole rent. Like give her 500, put it towards the
No,
rent.
no rent.
So pay $0 towards the rent.
Yeah, my child lives with me. Yeah, I take care of him 100%. I'm not supporting you. I'm supporting him. So
Okay.
whatever he needs, he got it. You figure out the
Okay.
situation. I'm sorry, sweetie. You figure out the situation, but I got my son. Okay? You don't want him to live with my girl. Well, right now, get a job. You get a job? No. Well, this is the situation. This is where it got to be. And he's well
Okay.
taken care of. He's well fed, whatever. He's okay. You ain't got to worry about you. You worry about you. I'm doing you a favor that you ain't got to worry about little Junior. Little Junior taken care of. You gonna fix yourself, girl. Okay? If you need to go some therapy, whatever you need to do, you do you. Junior covered. Simple.
Okay. All
Simple.
right. Well, I disagree, but okay, that's your opinion.
Because my concern is not her. My concern is my child.
And that's why you help pay for the rent, because again, he's
The
concerned
rent,
about his
I'll be
child.
the-
It's not the
So
only, it is not the only thing, but it is also support. His child lives there.
Support
And
looks different.
Support looks different. Support can also look like helping pay the rent, so his
It
child
could look
can
like that, but it
stay.
ain't looking like that for
So the
my
child
man.
can stay in the primary parent's house so that they can stay close to school. Their routine is not interrupted. We don't even know how frequently he spends time with his dad, how his father's schedule is, what the relationship like with his
And those are the
stepmother, and
sacrifices
all of those
he
things.
has to make. Those are the sacrifices he needs to make, not paying a rent, working around your schedule, doing things differently. Those are the
If
sacrifices.
money is already an issue, why would he mess with his finances? One parent already in working.
But it's not only finances. That's my thing.
It's
and
not
I know
only finances, but
I
prefer to do finances, and it's clear in his video he prefer it that way.
But maybe he needs to change that.
He should. He absolutely should. But again, we don't even know the beginning of the logistics, and that's another part to take into consideration as well.
Okay.
And to be frank, the way that I don't know, all I'm saying with that video and the couple, yes, this is a problem in their relationship with what he did, but it seems like there's more issues there. The way that he frivolously talked to her, like disregard of her.
Maybe he wants to get back with his ex.
opinions. Possible. Anything is
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
So that's why the woman in question, you asked me, like, what's my line? That's not even for me to say. That's up for her to say. What is her line?
I
'Cause
know.
one times could be too much. And then that's fair.
Yeah, that's
Skedaddle.
fair. Yeah, but I'm not saying what's a line for her to leave. I'm saying what's the line for him to give. That's what I'm saying. What's the line
Yeah.
for him to
But
give?
that's the thing. That's based
Because
on what
with
he feel
yeah,
like his
especially in this job
capability is.
market, in this job market, so like talking about um boundaries, at least like but this is generally an issue with any kind of
Mm-hmm.
blended family, right? With any kind of blended family, so we got to look at financial, like what is like good boundaries of for blended family, right? For me, as
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, transparency and communication in the marriage, or relationship or whatever. Like you needed to discuss it. You need to be like, hey, boo, ex boo, lost a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what you think we should do to assist Junior, because Junior is the main concern right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let her say whatever, because in a relationship, once again, marriage is what the responsible, the highest responsible for divorce, right? That's the number one thing for divorce. Money,
But
money, right?
they're not married
So
though. That's another
I
thing.
know, but not on. But they only say for. But I'm glad you say that.
Mm-hmm.
For marriages, it's the number one cause of divorce. For a relationship, it's even higher. When you're not married, it's even higher for
Mm-hmm.
breakups, right? So money is the biggest issue. So no financial secrets is very important. So regardless if you're married or not, if you're together, especially if you live together, even if you don't live together,
Mm-hmm.
no financial secrets is if y'all in a relationship. So I think that's super important and a factor that any blended family should consider.
Child, light on the family, because does a man even regard his current woman as a family? I don't know.
No error you got with another point. Once
No, but
again,
seriously though.
sus. You see it was sus. This I
But
was going
yeah.
hard.
Some I know there's this is my last thing before we move on, because this episode is getting a little bit lengthy. And this is what happens with some men. Some men prioritize their children over anybody else. And this is why some women don't like
I think this,
getting
yeah.
with baby mamas or baby daddies,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a certain level of prioritization that happens that a lot of
Yeah.
people can be for.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I don't date people with children. I don't have kids. I don't want anybody with kids. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not he chooses to provide for his child above her or whatever, that's something she needs to be okay with. If she's not okay with that, girl, walk. That's all I'm gonna say. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you have to keep the focus on the child, because that's where I'm at.
I
Yes,
agree.
paying the rent is paying the X rent, but the child lives there. So semantics, the child is
Sorry.
still living in a house, home where it's paid for. So for me, focusing on the child, what's in the best interest of the child. If it's okay, if the best interest is at the time, the mother needs to focus on herself to get reemployed, go live with the dad. That's the easiest thing for the child. Do that.
Yeah.
But if the easiest thing for the child might be to keep them in their current home while they're close to school and everything, pay the rent. Like you said, support can look very differently. And
Yeah.
for me, support can also look like paying the rent. So you say no, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. But my biggest concern wouldn't even be him paying the rent. My biggest concern it would be he now wanting the child to live with him. Honestly, I would have a concern of that, because I'm like, you're the dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be my line. That would make
Mm-hmm.
me leave. Because I'm like, you're the father and you don't even want your child to live with you, like take care of this child, do the things. Like honestly, that would have
Exactly.
been concerning to me. Like, what kind of dad is you that you don't want a child to live there? That would be my biggest issue. Because I'm like,
Exactly.
so you prefer to pay her rent?
Yep.
Like, I'm so confused.
And
Than to
leave her
take your
with
son?
the yep. And leave her
Yeah,
with the
so no.
emotional labor and all the other things.
Yeah, I mean, and as you mentioned, it's short. It not gonna gotta be who knows how long it's gonna be? But let me say if it's a
Mm-hmm.
month or 2 months or 3 months, you trying to tell me you never want to live with your son? Like there could be good time for you and your son. There could be, because once again, this mom could be dealing with a lot, being that she's unemployed. Like there could be good bonding, building
Yes.
time with you and your son. You know, so to
Yes.
spare him that kind of emotional, I'm not saying that she's gonna take it out on him. Some people might, but to
Mm-hmm.
deal with that is hard.
Yeah. And I know many father, hint, hint, would prefer to provide financially and leave the mother with the child to live with and let her deal with everything that
Yes,
concerns because they realize it's hard. You have to,
it
help
is.
with homework, do all of that. So a lot of
But you
times
gotta evolve.
financially it's
Hmm.
easier. And that's why we mentioned that dad, you're more than financial support. You have to be emotionally available as well for your children. But if that's the
Exactly.
mentality that he's with, it's best the child stay with the mother. Like, no cap. But
I
he
know
needs
you're saying that, but no, I don't think so. Because I what she dealing with is a lot, and
she
sometimes
is
she
dealing with a
needs
lot.
that break. Yeah,
But
I
if
hear
he
you.
don't
But
have the capacity to emotionally be there for the child.
well, there's a different situation. But I think even though you saying okay, let's say oh, I would have been like if I was a baby mom, be like you know how you are with Junior, right, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But this is important or whatever. If you're gonna live with him, the sacrifice you need to make beyond financially is beyond financial.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only that, you gotta give him the opportunity to grow too. Now, if he there with his father now and then he complaining, oh, daddy this, daddy rude, daddy beating me, daddy didn't get the patience, now there's a different story. But at least give
Mm-hmm.
him the opportunity to be there, to step up.
But that's the thing. He needs to want the opportunity. How are you going to give him
I agree.
opportunity if
No,
you
I
don't want
agree.
it?
That's what I'm saying. No, I agree. If he had agreed to that or whatever.
Right. If he wanted it, I would be like, sure. But if he's like, I'll pay the rent. That's a different situation.
But yeah, but back to what you should do in terms of like blended family. For me, financial boundaries. Have financial boundaries, right? Stick to the child support agreement. I feel like it's very important. Stick to the child support agreement and avoid unnecessary financial like entanglements. Like you gotta avoid those kind of things because like what about the future? Every time she lose her job, I got to pay her rent. Like no shit know that I doing that. Like, what happened? She ain't got no savings? Boo boo. Y'all plan a I'm sorry. Right. But if you know that I'm there to always think or whatever, like I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like whatever the arrangement is, keep it. You understand? And whatever it is, and sometime
Mm,
in the future, you could even put that in part, put it inside your
mm-mm.
in your agreement. So okay, if you lose your job, Junior come stay with me. If you lose your job, Junior gonna spend less time with me. Whatever.
Mm-mm.
You know, that
Mm-mm.
I feel like that should be there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
In the
I'm
ideal
sorry,
world where he wants the
I can't
child, sure. But to me, until
but
the
you should
child is
want your child.
18, until a child is 18, I believe that both parties need to step up. And things change, emergencies happen. There might be a
That's
period of
different.
time where he loses his job and he can't give her
Correct.
zero money. So she takes care of the child 110%. Like things change.
Okay.
So to me, when you have pre-agreed stuff that is so rigid and you can't change and flex depending on the situation, that leaves room for the child to not be taken care of. And in this case, again, this man don't want the child to be with him. He rather
I
financially
agree.
provide.
I hear that too, but I disagree because in terms I know that you're saying that you could flex or whatever in case of
You
emergencies.
should be
Once
able to
again, all of
flex.
all of those things are a part of once again financial boundaries because there is stuff like they're big support in terms of like college. Y'all already made a like, arrangement that I'm gonna pay half. Emergencies, I'm gonna pay half. Like those are things that
Mm-hmm.
is already written for the child, for the child. You understand? But for you, like for you, I can't. I'm sorry, I cannot. Me and you are no longer together. Do I wish you well? Am I trying to like bring harm to you or in anything like that? Like I don't. That to me, that part is be my issue. Somebody break up, but he,
Mm-hmm.
bothering the girl or whatever emotionally and stuff like that. But anything else, you have to figure it out. We are no longer together. Keep stuff strictly to the child. You understand? You going
Which he
through it.
does.
Honestly, I shouldn't even know that you're unemployed. That's
So
not your business.
why can't she share that? They're have
Why
a child
should I?
together.
That's not your business. That's not your business. Your
But
business is
again,
to take
true
care of your
co-parenting,
son
true co-parenting is being able to rely on each other when you can. There's seasons when people
emotionally.
go through. That's not emotionally. His child lives there. So why are we always looking at the man pays for the rent? It's automatically you paying her rent. Your child lives there. The
Yeah, I know
child
your child is there.
physically resides there.
And
So
I agree, but in
assisting
the
in a
last
time,
episode, the last
assisting.
episode, what did I say? Pay split in half, and then whoever the child live with, you pay an extra 10 to 50%. That's what I give. I
But
give ten
this
to
is
fifty
an
percent against your
emergency.
bills.
This is not an
No,
everyday
the
occurrence. It's
emergency can't be me,
literally
sweetie.
an
The emergency
emergency.
can't be your ex-man. The emergency can't be your ex-man.
The emergency is not her ex-man, but his child lives there. So the emergency
Sorry,
for
her
the
baby
child,
daddy.
the emergency for the child can 100% be his father.
The child get a second home.
Does he? Okay. So at the end of the day, like you mentioned, keep the, everything strictly about the child and all that stuff. Avoid personal discussion. Again, to me, through co-parenting, when people actually have agreeable co-parenting, you should be able to talk about things that's affecting the child. Her losing her job affects the child because it affects her ability to pay her rent. She could have mentioned like, "Hey, I lost my job in passing or whatever," and he chose whether or not he wanted to help because his child lives there. Whether there's like a major discussion, it should be together. And again, I am coming from, I know you're coming from the other woman's perspective. And again, I don't give her any wrong for being
She paused the
upset
video, so that's why I'm coming
at
from her. But
all.
even if I was a baby
But
mama
from
too,
a
no.
father perspective, if you're capable of providing for your child in a situation like that, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Make sure you communicate with your people, whoever you're with. But it has to be you. You got to be capable
Here
about
you
doing
now
that.
communicate with your people. This how you regarding this man, woman, your people? Wow.
I regarded her the same way he regarded her.
Yeah, here she was a baby mama. All she did going on.
The
Your
frivolousness.
people, your people didn't even get sick. Wow.
Communicate with your people. And that's what he should have done. And from the frivolousness in the video and how he like flippantly I'm like, girl, you got bigger fishes to fry, and you need to address those fishes because
Pretty.
I don't think this man regards you seriously. To be honest, I don't.
But you're saying that based on the way they interacted, not based
Yeah,
on the issue.
I agree with I 100%. So the way, like, okay, it's like what we would say, you're wrong
Seriously
and
though.
strong, right? Like he's like, yeah, I did that, and what are you gonna do? Who can check me? Like, you according to me, I don't care. Like, that's my point.
Yeah.
That's
No,
how
I
he was
agree.
addressing her.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. That's why I'm saying there's more to the story. Because the way you could tell the way that she was saying, like she didn't even had a like she felt uncomfortable. To me, the interaction was like, I was like, girl, this
Seems like
man
she
still
more
want the exit me opinion.
she seems like she's more serious about him than he is about her, to be
Thank
honest.
you.
Because
Yeah,
right off the
facts.
bat, he should have been like, had to sit down. And we don't know if it was prior to giving or after, but I feel like he should have regarded her more seriously
Yes,
in
he
his
should have.
action.
He should have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once again, the baby mama's tired of eat. She left he wash it back. And to me, some men just hold a baby mama in highest regards. Like, don't matter what, like the highest regard. Like, because there's the one that got away, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
So they
They're
would
a
do anything
family.
for she.
They're a family. And this is
They're
why
a family.
I don't date mammy kids. No, thank you. They're a family.
I know, but a lot of
They
but
shared something. She gave him his first son. How can you compete with that?
you can't compete with that.
No, thank
No,
you.
you can't. You can't. But in reality, a lot of people have to deal with that reality because a lot of people have kids. So we got to figure out a way how to do that now. I feel like you got to figure out. You can't be like, no, for me, I think I don't have an issue. I'm married. Luckily, no, none of us have kids prior. But if I did with somebody and they did, honestly, I didn't see an issue with it. Honestly, I don't see an issue with that. However, once we
It's a
set
no for me, dog.
financial,
No for me.
a lot of men had kids. Okay.
And there's a lot that don't either. So I'm gonna stick on that side of the fence.
once you do the things the way it's supposed to do. Not only that, women have kids too. Women have kids too. So we gotta find a way to figure out how to make it work. And once again, stick to your financial boundaries. I'm a firm believer. Don't discuss your business. You understand? I don't need to know if your ex lose your man. You understand? Because don't could be the income. There could have been an income coming in. Well, guess what? Me and Tyrone break up, and he used to pay the light bill. You understand? No, I get no.
I'm trying to say is I understand and I agree that there should be a certain level of agreement, but life happens, and I feel like you can't be too rigid. Things happen, and there needs to be a little bit of room for flexibility when those things happen. Yes, you should have like at least a bare bones kind of agreement. This is what I'm doing, is what you're doing, and stuff like that. But for the child's sake, I feel like there still need to be room to flex.
Yeah, and I think the flex is you lose your job. Sorry to hear that. I'll take Junior. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else beyond
I
that.
agree if he wanted a child, and he clearly didn't. That's my problem. He didn't. He wanted to provide. You know what? I was going to put our business on blast, because you think back in the days, our father would prefer to provide financially or take the children?
Well, I don't think that's okay. Difference, because he had taken, or eldest brother did live with us. So he did take. Not everybody got taken.
Good girl.
Not everybody got taken. No, I'm just saying. Eventually, was it for the reason, maybe was it for a reason?
Despite,
I'm not sure.
Was it despite the mother?
No,
because it was a period of time when he wanted to take us, but it was despite our mother at the time. So was the motives right?
Oh, I don't know if in that scenario, maybe not. However, based on based on that, maybe he wanted to take, or eldest brother did live with us. He did not live with his mom. So based on that is what I'm going off of. Was the reason because of he felt like he could have looked him better? Maybe. Was the reason they were working together? Was there reason? But based on that.
And that's my point exactly. So sometimes it's best provide for that woman and give her a little extra money and let the child stay with the mother.
I agree with it, but we gotta move past that, Kiana. Like this is there since here.
We should move past that, but a lot of times
men need to be doing better now. Like men need to be doing better now.
They should,
right? And I know.
But the reality is,
yeah, and I know a lot of women ain't gonna agree with me because be like, I ain't sending me child. I agree, but it's once again, if you can't bring your child, let the child go. I do want to send me child either. Let me tell y'all the truth. That's why I wouldn't even tell you that I out to work. I did walking out the walk.
Exactly.
I didn't want me to go either. But
exactly.
But let me say, and then the reason why I'm saying that too, listen, why I'm saying that legally, if you're out of a job, and then let's say the man wanted to take the child and you didn't want, if it goes to a judge, very, very possible that child would have to live with the mother, with the father.
I couldn't see that because you can't provide.
Good. Legally, that will happen too. So don't let it get that far. That's what I'm saying. Don't let it get that far.
I agree. And I agree that, again, if it's like he wants a child and he can take care of the child, and again, it doesn't cause too much of a friction on their everyday life, because we don't know, if they got extracurricular activity, how far they live apart from each other.
Yeah.
All that stuff you need to take into consideration.
Yeah, that's true.
But if he could, and wants to, he should. But
yeah, if he's a healthy dad, it shouldn't be an issue. And that's the truth.
Exactly. And I don't know about that, but yeah.
Okay. We want healthy dads.
We want healthy dads, but this is
want healthy dads.
Well, hope you would have enjoyed this debate. Who do you
Let
think?
us know what you guys.
Right. What do you think? Would you be okay with your man giving his ex money to pay for rent because his child lives there, or you think that's a problem? Let us know what your opinion is in the comment below. If you have experience with this situation, let us know as well. Because I know somebody out there having the same problems right now. I don't know personally, but I'm sure there are people, dealing with similar issues. So let us know in the comments because, co-parenting is hard and we acknowledge
Yeah.
that. And we, I know a lot of people are doing the best they can, but like Shaka said, there's always room for improvement. That's, you're more than financial support. You have to
Yeah.
be emotional supportive to your children as well. You should want them to come over, not just to provide financially, because it's easier to just go hold this
Yeah.
$1,500 and call it a day. You should want to do more in terms of taking care of your child and actually taking on the emotional load of raising a child to be a good and productive person in society. So let us know your thoughts. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, share this with someone because your viewership help us to grow and yeah, share it with someone. Also, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can do so on any major streaming platform. If you're on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, etc. And follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, where you can see other content from us because we technically post almost every day. So if you want to keep in constant communication, give us a follow. We're always at Lyman and Healing on everything. We keep it simple, we keep it straight to the point. But until we meet again, remember to bust a line.
But Salam.
See you next
See you
time.
next time.